Next up, we are going to have an amazing speaker. Mary Dillon is currently a graduate student at Relay Graduate School of Education and currently a teacher resident in one of the KIPP Knowledge is Power Program charter schools in New Orleans. As the first in her family to graduate from college, she has won a number of accolades, including a generous scholarship award to students who show exceptional promise. She is here to tell her personal story today because she is passionate about improving race relations in our country and believes her individual perspective can help contribute to the national dialogue. All right, with that, Mary, are you with us?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Nobody walks around with, I've been through some shit written on their forehead. Well, let me tell you something about me. Your girl done been through some shit. So picture why we ain't got no food in the house and mama's at work. Daddy needs to give me some money to eat, but I already know he gonna say he ain't got it. He dipped out on my mama before I even turned 1. So them two don't always see eye to eye. When I was little, I used to fall asleep by the screen door, waiting for him to come pick me up, but he never used to show up. I used to cry myself to sleep, wishing that one day he would keep his promise to me. At the age of 7, I got a phone call from my mama saying my daddy got married. Married? My dream of having a 2-parent household been went out the window. Even though him and my mama ain't work out, I was still happy for him. I still had hope that one day he would be back for me, and that he did. After Hurricane Katrina, he let me move in with him and his new family. Man, how I'm gonna tell my mama I'm pregnant? I wasn't even a grown-up yet. I was only 16. She might beat my ass from the front door to the back. I'm so scared. What the hell I just do? Shit, they shooting. A bullet then came through my house. If I was walking past, it was a straight headshot. My baby in this damn house. What if that bullet would have hit my child? I gotta get the hell from back here. Dog, I hate living in the projects. New Orleans really whack, bruh. I'm ready to move. That little girl whose voice you've just heard, she still lives in me. That little girl didn't leave New Orleans. In fact, she stayed. And guess what? She became a woman who has accomplished a lot. Sometimes she speaks the way she is speaking right now. Formal English, white English. Most of the time, she speaks in the voice and speech patterns you just heard. Rhythmic, laid back English. You or some might even call it Ebonics. I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college with a degree in biology nonetheless. I won one of the most prestigious scholarships in the country. I've traveled to over 15 different states in the US, nothing any of my other family members have come close to. Today, I work for one of the top charter school networks in the country, KIPP. But let me tell you what it took for me to get here. At 8 years old, it took me throwing a chair to break the glass to save my life during Hurricane Katrina. The water was rising up to the 2nd story, so I crawled through the broken glass and up onto a rooftop, waving my hands like hell to wave down a helicopter. I just wanted to find my mama. It took me deciding to abandon a school full of metal detectors and police officers, a school where students hopped over desks, ran around the hallways, and screamed over the teacher. At 9 years old, I found a better school on my own, a KIPP school. I begged the principal to let me in, and I forged my father's signature on the application. It took me watching my mother struggle to make ends meet. It took me ducking gunshots and seeing dead bodies in the street. Once I even escaped a situation where a gun was pointed to my head. It took me showing up to school sometimes full of nothing but honey buns and milk to take a test. It took me still showing up to school even when I was deprived of sleep. It took me showing up to class after my uncle was murdered cold in the street. Every day after his death, I searched for that raw smell of his stinky feet in my house, but it was gone. He was gone and never coming back. He hung out with my son every day while I worked and went to school. He brought him to the park and cooked dinner because all I knew how to do was throw a pack of ramen noodles in the microwave. How was I going to explain this to my son? It took me searching for peace because I was full of anger. It took a desperate hustle to make good grades. It took teachers pushing me and believing in me. It took this itty bitty white lady, a teacher crunk off coffee, who made me stand on a chair and say, I am a warrior. It took countless hours and many late nights spent with that itty bitty white teacher on a scholarship application. In seventh grade, I won that scholarship, which paid for private high school, summer programs, transportation, computer, and so much more. Due to the scholarship funds and hard work, I had the opportunity to attend one of the most prestigious schools in the city of New Orleans. But that didn't make my life easier. I felt like I was dropped off in a different country without a manual on how to navigate this foreign land, surrounded by mansions with shiny Mercedes, BMWs, and Lexuses parked in the driveways, and a sea of white faces. Most days I was extremely on edge. This was extremely different from my neighborhood. Crowds of Black folks, rundown shotgun houses, and beat up Honda Civics. During my sophomore year of high school, Trayvon Martin was shot dead by a neighborhood watchman. When I saw that not guilty verdict on TV, I broke down in tears. He wasn't there to defend himself. We were both the same age. When I created a class presentation on the case, one of my peers asked me, do you honestly believe he didn't deserve to die? A sudden shock struck through my body. My limbs stiffened. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My friend thought that someone who looked just like me, an unarmed teenager, deserved to die. What if that was my brother? At the moment, I didn't know if I wanted to smash her face in, cuss her out, or simply walk away. I just gave her a hard glare, a short wow, and walked away. I went home, covered my face with a pillow, and cried myself to sleep. You think that was hard? Imagine a group of kids talking politics in history class, and you're the poorest person in the room. Then someone spats out, we don't need to raise minimum wage. Poor people just need to work harder. That was a Mike Tyson jab to my face. That shit hurt like hell. My mother worked 2 jobs to keep a roof over my head, clothes on my body, shoes on my feet. Most people I knew worked 2 jobs to support their family. So when I heard work harder, I thought that was total bullshit. What would it look like for my white classmates if they were stripped of everything they had? The two-story mansions, the food from the refrigerator, the SAT tutors, the private piano lessons, the swimming lessons, the trips to Spain and Hawaii. I wanted to see them survive off of $7.25 per hour and ramen noodles. Because my words alone wasn't enough to convince them. Every day I showed up insecure about myself because I didn't start this race at their starting line. The examples I gave are just two examples. Every day was a different battle. It became exhausting. The discomfort I felt wasn't always that explicit. Sometimes it was subtle discomfort from a seemingly innocent question like, do you wash your hair? Which to me felt like she was asking me, your hair is dirty. Do you take a bath? Of course I washed my hair, but that made me feel ashamed of myself and my hair. Insecurity and tension swarmed my body daily. Was I speaking correctly? Did they understand the words that were coming out of my mouth? How should I dress? I tried to adapt. I joined clubs like speech and debate and cheerleading. And for a while, things did get a little bit better. But I still felt like I didn't belong. At the age of 15, during my sophomore year, I met a Black guy from my neighborhood who listened, who made me feel at home and accepted me for me. I fell so deep in love with his charismatic personality. By the age of 16, I was pregnant. I was afraid to tell any adult in my life, fearing they'd judge the hell out of me, call me fast, hot in the ass, a failure, you name it. It was only so long I'd be able to hide the fact that a life was growing inside of me. At 6 months pregnant, I broke the news to my family. Some people cried, some people were pissed, some people were ready to help me. Then came telling the school. Some people at my school said that there was no way I could afford to have a child and to consider putting my child up for adoption. To me, it sounded like, you're too poor to have a kid. I wanted to own up to it and accept the fact that it was happening instead of making it somebody else's headache. He was my responsibility to take care of. He was my child. Sure, I didn't know how the hell I was going to do it. Living with my mama, no job, still in high school. But I was determined to figure it out. And I was going to graduate college and create a better life. During my third trimester, after the news was out, my school decided not to let me attend classes due to my pregnancy and instead placed me in an empty house around the corner from my school. I won't go into details about that today, but I cried on the couch every day. The only thing that kept me calm was when I sat back and talked to my belly. Long story short, I had my baby and I kept him. Then I went straight to college and graduated on time, working at Walmart and raising my son. And now I'm a working professional in graduate school and on stage here with you all today. I didn't make excuses. I found a way. I didn't let naysayers stop me. I asked for help because I knew that there was no way I could do this on my own. I needed people to believe in me. I needed people to support me. Remember that itty bitty white woman I mentioned earlier? Her name is Miss Fingers, and she supported me every step of the way. At first, she was my middle school teacher. When I went to private school, she became my advisor and manual. She understood that rich white world, so I relied heavily on her to navigate it. In early college, she became my mentor. By the middle of college, she was still my cheerleader, but I became her advocate and support when she was having trouble getting pregnant through her miscarriages, rounds of IVF. Then I became her mentor on motherhood and on being a working parent. Today, Miss Fingers is my best friend, and now I call her Leslie. We are also co authors writing a book about the true story of our interracial friendship in a racially divided world. My relationship with Leslie is extremely rare. I don't know a single person in my neighborhood with a white friend. Statistics show that 75% of white people don't have any non white friends. Getting to know Leslie challenged my worldview. I needed someone with a different perspective from a different world to help me understand myself and to grow as a person. I have biases. I didn't trust Leslie or understand why she believed in me. Neither did my family. It took time. We both had to learn about each other, be open with each other, and understand our different starting places in this world. It goes both ways. Leslie told me that I pushed her hard to address her own biases. We also taught each other that no matter your zip code or the color of your skin, we all deal with shit sometimes, and we're all doing the best that we can. Despite our differences and because of our differences, Leslie taught me a lot about advocating for myself. I was used to fending for myself in my world, but she reminded me to use those skills to advocate for myself in school, work, relationships with other people, and the foreign topics of things like saving money, building credit, and navigating healthcare. I channeled what Leslie taught me. Utilize all of your resources and advocate for yourself. In college, after my son was born, if I didn't have a babysitter, I asked my professors if it was okay for him to join us. In order for me to protect my son and achieve my goal of graduating from college, I found better housing. I was sick of my son not being able to play outside. I was sick of the sleepless nights. I needed to get out of the projects. I searched for apartments all across the city and was denied because I needed to make at least 3 times the rent. How the hell was I going to make 3 times the rent? As a full time student, as a full time mother, and working at Walmart, I couldn't afford a family size apartment. Instead, I applied for a scholarship grant, received family and friend contributions just to afford a tiny studio on campus for me, my son, and his father. The building only let me stay because a well off white person was the co signer on the lease. What do people like me do who don't have that option? You all are leaders in real estate. You have influence. You make important decisions. Who you attract and rent to, who you hire, and how you manage your staff. You are also community members, fathers, mothers, sisters, friends. So I want to leave you with 3 key messages. Number 1, accept the fact that we have natural instincts to make snap assumptions and judgments. Think back to me in those first minutes of this talk. What was your view of me then? What's your view of me now? Own those judgments and do something to counteract them. Ask yourself, what are my blind spots and biases? What am I missing? What's being triggered and where might it come from? What can I do to mitigate some of my biases? Number 2, expand your perspective by surrounding yourself with people who challenge your point of view. And by people, I mean literal humans. But I also mean books and media. Ask yourself, how diverse is my library of people, books, articles, and news channels? Number 3, find an advocate and be an advocate. What have you done to advocate for yourself? What have you done to advocate for someone else? Because it was advocacy that got me this far. It was determination and sacrifice. I could have been embarrassed and afraid to ask for a helping hand, but I didn't. I found my voice. I spoke up. That's what I did. But there are people out there trying to find their voice. There's someone out there that doesn't look like you, but needs you to give them a chance to work, a chance at friendship, a chance at love, a chance to share their side of the story, a chance to feel at home, a chance to feel like they belong. Here I am today, a mother of 2 handsome boys, still madly in love with my high school sweetheart that blew me away at the age of 15. And now I am a 4th grade teacher and a student working towards a master's degree in education. I work hard every day to understand and challenge my own biases, expand my own perspective, and advocate for myself and others. This talk today reminded me I am on a journey and still have work to do. We all do. Now your girl got a serious question. What you gonna do?
I think it's become tradition now that I cry at least once at Spark, and once again, this was no exception. For those of you that have been at Spark for a while, I think that Mary's story is one of the most incredible that we have ever heard. I hope that you are all as compelled to take action, to take notice of your own personal biases, and to surround yourself with people who help you learn and grow.